Congratulations.
So congrats to Bernie. One positive coming out of yesterday is Bernie's daughter had a successful birth, and Bernie is now a grandfather. So he's going to call in via Zoom instead of being in studio with us, which is a bummer, but understandable considering the circumstances. And we're going to get right back and talk some Browns after a quick word from FanDuel. You guys have heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. It is undisputably America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, we got a little something different for you guys. Starting today through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook. But we got to start with Deshaun Watson. G on Friday said, hey, if Deshaun balls out, 30 minutes of the show has to be dedicated to Deshaun. And we were going to do that no matter what.
Yeah.
We just didn't get the ball out part of it. So I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be 30 minutes, but we have to start with Deshaun Watson and his performance against the Cowboys. You can start, Bull. I know you mentioned it there.
And G just alluded to it, and he's right. You look at what they've got coming up the next 4 games. It's really – and Jacksonville's a decent team. We know that. But after that, you got the Giants, the Commanders, and the Raiders. 3 teams that I think we're all expecting to be not very good. Deshaun Watson, to me, has 4 weeks. Now, I don't know that if he stinks after week 5 that they're going to bench him. But to me – if there's any hope remaining of Deshaun Watson becoming anything close to the quarterback he was, it has to happen these next 4 weeks because you're not playing any particularly good defenses. Dallas obviously has a very good defense, but in this game in particular, the stats don't even tell the full story. His performance was even worse than those bad stats. A lot of the sacks, and I know Jason's going to get to this more, I thought were on him. He held on to the ball way too long. There's no vision whatsoever. G talked about it. He's throwing balls to the sideline. You're not even giving the receiver a chance. Now, there was some drops, sure. Every quarterback's going to get some drops. It's going to happen. It stinks. Cooper had a drop, which you don't expect. David Njoku had a drop, which, that's been his thing sometimes. He was better at that last year. But, 3.8 yards per attempt. And if you look at it, when the game was still, a lot of that got a little better when the game was in garbage time. He was, for a while, averaging under 2 yards per attempt, which is insanely awful. There's nothing good I can say about Deshaun Watson's performance in this game. Nothing.
Hey, when I try to take a look and see what I could take from this, all coaches and people say week 1, let me see what we can take away from it. I can't take nothing. I can't say anything. When you looked at that game, and we have to drill down and figure out what's going on here. We were sold on this new offense now 2 times in a row. We were sold on this vertical passing game. We were sold on this is going to be a NASCAR type feel, RPO, all this good stuff. We saw none of that, right? I need to understand whether it's the offense and what you are calling, and is that the design of what we're doing, or are you checking the ball down? We got to figure this out because if it's 3rd and 10, and granted, now we'll get to the offensive line and we'll get to the holding penalties and their undisciplined nature, but if you are at a position where you are in behind the sticks 3rd and 5, every single time you come to the line of scrimmage, illegal procedure. Every single time you get a decent play, holding, the people dropping a rock. But here's the thing, I said this most about Deshaun Watson, and I said this on my podcast. I said, look, bro, if you're going to have to get in your mind that you're going to have to do something because they're going to get you up out of here. I'm going to tell you that right now. Even if it's on energy level, if you Deshaun Watson and you not playing well and people dropping the ball and people is false starting and doing all that other stuff, somebody has to be on the sideline talking to people. I saw Dak talking to people. I see them other quarterbacks talking to, hey, guy, get with Amari Cooper. Hey, this is what we need to do over here this way. When they come into the sideline, I'm saying you sit on the bench, DTR sitting here looking straight ahead, and all the receivers on the other end. No cohesiveness, no nothing. You're going to have to fight for your career, bro. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not married to none of that. You're going to have to fight and dig. Some of this stuff, the processing looks slow. I don't know where you're going with the rock. And yes, you could use some of that other, but there's no excuses, man. These next 4 weeks is the most pivotal in your lifetime because right now, that did not look like a professional quarterback. It just didn't. It is what it is. It just is.
Just no flow to the offense whatsoever.
It's an organizational failure that they did not play in the preseason. It's an organizational failure. Like, yes, how can you say this team was ready to play week one after watching that?
Yeah.
They were not ready to play. And that's on the coaching staff. That's on Kevin. How many times do we say they need to play? They should have played in the preseason. They should have played. I told you that around the start of training camp, the people around Deshaun were saying he wasn't going to play in this preseason. Kevin comes out and says he's going to play. Deshaun says that's news to me. And then suddenly Deshaun doesn't play.
Well, if Deshaun doesn't want to play, can Kevin force him to play?
He's the head coach.
Yeah.
But he's the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, Deshaun has full control of this organization. He's had it by the you-know-what since the day he signed the contract. This team was not ready to play yesterday. You've only got 17 of these. And the Browns have gotten away with not being ready in weeks one of the past, and they escaped with wins. They didn't look great last year against Cincinnati, and we blame the weather. But the truth is, they didn't look ready to play in week one, but they were able to escape with the win. They escaped in Carolina because they kicked a long field goal at the end of the game. They easily could have lost that. They're so worried about getting to the season healthy, and I get it, it's important, but they're not ready to play week one. And if you lose out on the playoffs by one game, this is the game you're going to look back on and say, you guys weren't ready. You weren't ready to compete in week one. And so, like, that's because everyone says I always defend Kevin all the time, and I do for the most part, but I thought that was a massive fail to not have this team ready to play week one, and that's on the coaching staff, to not have any sort of cohesiveness with this offense. That looked like the first preseason game out there, which means, does that mean we have 2 more preseason games to go before these guys are ready to go?
No, I don't want to hear it. Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
And y'all points, listen, y'all was on, I was the one who said, well, maybe Kevin has the pulse of the team and he don't want him to get hurt.
Right.
You got to reevaluate your whole offseason program, dog. You have to, because not only was I alarmed by that, they looked tired. Myles Garrett looked like he was gassed. I'm looking around. I'm like, is Myles on the field?
Yeah, I mean, he looked impactful early, and then he just disappeared.
He looked tired.
Yeah.
It looked like guys were sucking wind. And it's like, if you're not going to be practicing because you're not injured, y'all got to be in shape. You know, and plus the energy levels. Last year, this reminded me of the game against the 49ers last year, where the Browns offense was terrible. They knew they had P.J. Walker. But the Browns defense had a certain level of energy where it was like, I'm going to go out and we're going to take the ball. We're going to make sure that we win this game. The energy level was just different. It just seemed after they got punched in the mouth a little bit, Bull, it was almost as if they looked on the offensive side of the ball and was like, we have no ability to move the ball.
Right.
And it just deflated them.
Yeah, because it looked like they had that energy in the first drive, and then it just kind of went away after that. But getting specifically back to the quarterback, Jason, and we'll get to the offensive line a little more, but you have some stats that show, because a lot of people were blaming the offensive line for all the sacks, and not all sacks are created equal. The truth is, you have the numbers to back that Deshaun Watson had plenty of time, even under pressure.
So we did, Mike, you just want to do the numbers now? You want to do it?
Yeah, because it all ties together.
Related,
we'll talk about the offensive line big picture later and can it be fixed? What were the issues coming from? But this is worth talking about with Deshaun Watson.
All right, so everybody wants to say that Deshaun was under pressure all day and he didn't have enough time to throw. And watching it live, I could see why you would think that. But when you dig into the numbers, when you really look, the protection held. Pull up the graphic so I could see, because I don't remember off the top of my head. So under pressure, his time to throw under pressure was 4.16 seconds, 8th best in week one. So he was in the top 10, even under pressure. He had more time to throw than anybody. He's just holding on to the ball too long. 4.87 seconds on sacks. That was the time from snap to sack, was 4.87 seconds. And throughout his career on sacks, he has 5.36 seconds to throw. That's since 2022, right? That's the number since 2022, since he came to Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's holding on to the ball the longest of any quarterback. And he has the most time of any quarterback to throw. It's not a protection issue. Gee, you're 100% right. It's a processing issue. He doesn't know what he's seen. There were guys open down the field, and he couldn't find them, and he didn't see them. And you can talk about the drops, but his expected completion percentage was about 64%, which was still 4th worst for all of week one. So even if you can factor in all of those drops.
Right. Expected completion percentage, for those who don't know, that in a way assumes that says that ball that was a drop should have been caught.
Yeah.
But there's other plays that were bad throws, you know.
Right. So he still would have been 4th lowest in the NFL, even with everything had gone perfectly.
Yeah.
So there you see the expected points added per play. second lowest in the NFL. Daniel Jones was the only quarterback who was worse in expected points per play. This is a quarterback issue. Was the protection perfect? No, I'm not saying it was perfect. They had way too many penalties. That's a coaching issue. They had formation penalties, false starts, holdings. All that stuff needs cleaned up. But the protection, like, guys, they had 4/5 of their offensive line. Jed was missing. James Hudson was starting left tackle. Everybody else is out there.
Yeah.
It's the same line as last year. Same line that
it was weird that they were describing DeJuan Jones as a backup.
He's
on the
starting right
which didn't make
tackle.
any sense.
He's the starting right tackle.
Yeah.
So this idea that he didn't have enough time to throw is simply not true. Under pressure, and this is all numbers by PFF. And shout out to Jason Sterrett. He's a Clevelander. He used to work with us at The Athletic. He now works at True Media, which is the company that really does all of this stuff. I was working with him last night to make sure that we were accurate on all of these numbers. And pressure by PFF is anytime you're hit, hurried, or sacked. So anytime under pressure, he's still ranked in the top 10 yesterday among all week 1 quarterbacks in time to throw. And part of what makes Deshaun great throughout his career is his ability to hold onto the ball and extend plays. That's all true. But the playmaking part is gone. All we have right now is the quarterback standing back there holding onto the ball too long and not sure what to do with it. And it winds up looking like what you saw yesterday. And that's the part I don't think anybody has an explanation for where it went and why suddenly it doesn't look like he can't see what's in front of him. There are countless plays yesterday you can pull up and see he was open, he was open, he was open. He left a clean pocket. Why'd you leave a clean pocket? You didn't need to flush. You didn't need to get flushed. You had plenty of time. And we talked about there's 2 fade routes to the end zone. He's throwing the ball 7 yards out of bounds. The sideline route, he threw it to CeeDee Lamb 7 yards off the sideline.
Yeah.
This is a crisis. It's a quarterback crisis going on right now. And it's one game. It's one game. But it's a continuation of what we've seen before is what's most alarming.
If you look at the advanced stats on Deshaun, like I know some of these stats are confusing. Some of the fans don't understand EPA. I don't even know how you figure out EPA.
It has. To
I know
do
it's
with,
about efficiency, but I don't.
It's the play call. It's down and distance.
Right,
it's where the ball is on the field.
The
it's all
numbers
those
may be
things.
confusing, but he's been near the bottom of the league in most of these stats since he's been here. And then if you look at the old school numbers, the passing yards, terrible. The completion percentage, terrible. The turnovers, terrible. Mike, go ahead. I know you wanted to chime in on this.
Yeah, when Jason was sending me some of the numbers this morning, I was actually going through watching the All-22 again. Me, Earl, and Ant sat down. We watched every pass Deshaun made yesterday.
Yeah.
In terms of the protection, in real time, it looked terrible. In hindsight, it wasn't good. Let's call a spade a spade. It wasn't good, but a lot of the pressures came from Deshaun holding onto the ball. And that's part of what makes Deshaun great. It's an indictment on the receivers for not creating separation a lot of times. There was a few opportunities for Deshaun to hit an open receiver who was open. He held onto the ball trying to make a bigger play. But it just was such a Manila game plan. And Dallas was on everything Cleveland wanted to do that it's partly Deshaun for holding on to the ball too long. It's partly on the offensive line. And it's partly on the coaching staff and the game plan for not having guys more open. It's a culmination of all the above. And I think, G, you said on the postgame show best yesterday. It's like you could list A, Deshaun, B, the offensive line, C, Stefanski. The answer to yesterday's issue was D, all the above. And it's everybody at fault for yesterday. But there was a lot of plays yesterday, especially in terms of pressures from Dallas, where Deshaun had 2-3 seconds of a solid pocket and protection, and he didn't make a play. Didn't make a throw.
To me, Deshaun, when things go well, the quarterback gets a lot of the credit. When things go badly, the quarterback gets a lot of the blame. To me, Deshaun deserves more blame than anybody else. I don't think, frankly, it's close. I don't know what.
I don't agree with that.
Okay, that's fine, but I don't know that he's changing play calls in the huddle. I don't know what he's doing.
Because here's the thing. I told people all week. What did I say? The one thing I said all week. The Cleveland Browns cannot come out here and not have a running game. They didn't even try to run the football. When they tried to run the football, it was nothing. You got to have a run game against 2 defensive ends that are getting upfield. Trust me. I know. I used to play the position. If you guys want to come out here and throw the ball 100 times, great. I got 60 opportunities to rush the passer. And you got Mike Zimmer, a guy crossing the sidelines, that's going to bring pressure, that's going to be exotic, that's going to be confusing. The Cleveland Browns and the Jerome Ford experience is like you don't have anything that they're worried about. Even times when Jerome Ford got the football in open space with a little bit of a crevice, he's back there breakdancing, doing kick flips and being Chris Brown and Michael Jackson. It's wild. And they keep putting him back in the game like this man is the next coming. I don't know who they think they got back there. He is minus 10. He is 34, not 24. But you got to find some semblance of a running game. And when in the first quarter, there is no running game, and now guys are teeing off on you, and people is coming from everywhere, and Michael Parsons is getting it going, of course you're going to look like dog crap. Now, Watson was throwing the rock to places where, like I said, Watson was throwing the ball. He was inaccurate. There was times he was holding the football. But I'm going to also say this. That is the worst game plan I've ever seen in my life. That Kevin Stefanski game plan or Dorsey game plan, whatever it was, when you saw the Cowboys, what were the Cowboys doing? Mixing it up. Here goes the stretch play. Here's a little fullback game. Here's a little toss over here. Hey, we're going to mix it up with Myles Garrett. We're going to three-step him. We're going to put the fullback over. Mike McCarthy had a game plan that was way better than what we did, and it was basic. It was JV.
Well, and how do we know that Kevin Stefanski's game plan, if the quarterback can't execute it, is it the coach's fault?
Can he call the run play?
I mean, maybe he did and Deshaun Watson checked out. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't believe Deshaun Watson checked out of every single run play.
I'm with G. I don't think they had no intent of running the ball yesterday.
None.
But that's part of the offense. Like this is what they're going to do.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the problem I got. I'm going to be honest with you. Like my cousin said this. Watching Deshaun Watson in this offense is like watching like Terrell Pryor when you just wanted him to be a 5-star thrower. And they kept telling us it was a 5-star recruit and it's Terrell Pryor. And he would get back there and sometimes he would have some flicker of something. But for the most part, you're like, I'm not seeing, this was the dude y'all was getting. And to me, I think they're more enamored with being like, okay, well, let's go have this offense based on what Deshaun does. And I don't know if you basing that on what Deshaun used to do or what Deshaun is today.
Well, what is he today? I don't know.
And if it's based on what he used to do, you can't. I'm with Jason. I'm looking at this guy, and granted, it's one game. It could turn around. Who knows, right? He has to get it together. But that guy that used to hold the football, and then when he held the football, he was he could still escape the rush, right? Mm-hmm. But it looks like he lost a step.
It does.
Like, if in that step in the NFL is the difference between you being a magician and you just holding the ball too long. Before, he would be able to get out of pressure, move around, escape somebody, and then in the open field have the arm, the angles, the placement to get people and to operate in chaos. Now he can still escape, but he doesn't have that burst that he used to have. And it seems that he does not have the arm accuracy to play out of sorts in chaos. To do Patrick Mahomes, to do that, you got to be able to be pinpoint and hit the. When he gets out of the pocket, there's a couple times where he threw the ball and it skipped to somebody. It was just short.
Yep.
Right? So to me, how old is Deshaun?
28, I think.
20. I'll confirm. I believe he's 28.
You're pushing 30, and I'm not saying he's washed.
28, and he turns 29 next week.
0 for 10 on passes 15 or more yards.
He's the first, according to CBS. I saw this. See this graphic up. According to CBS, they have tracked 1,752 games where a quarterback has attempted 10 or more passes of 15 yards downfield. He is the first quarterback to not complete a pass. The first in 1,752 occurrences, according to CBS Sports.
It's just like basketball. Every guard wants to be like, oh, I could pick and roll and I could create. No, you can't. Some of y'all got it. Some of y'all got to run an offense. Some people can't be just a maestro and I'm going to control the game. You can't do that. Maybe Chris Paul or LeBron. Sometimes he got to make you understand, maybe you not a move out of a platform creator no more. Maybe you got to throw the ball on time, in structure, and be on time and run the offense.
Well, that's what they tried to make him last year.
Well, he might have to go back to that because this ain't working.
That's what they try. I mean, that's what Kevin's offense. That's exactly what Kevin's offense was.
And everybody said you had to give him his freedom. We had our man's. By the way, we didn't really know it was coming, but great job by Mike last minute on Friday putting together the ultimate What'd you call it?
Ultimate Cleveland Fan Show.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah, I did. I just saw
With
that.
Evan 419 and
No, I
Xavier
didn't see
P.
it. Yeah. I didn't see it.
He had the two of them on. They got it was another spinoff of on our show.
Yeah.
Those two guys, and they did a nice. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched.
They did a
half
great
of it.
job.
They did a great job, and Xavier P, who at this point feels like the last remaining Deshaun Watson apologist.
Oh no, there's still more.
Okay, but first thing he said in the thing with Mike was, you got to give him his freedom. You got to give him his freedom to do whatever the hell he wants.
He got 4 more games.
Well,
of
he
that.
got it. It didn't work out.
He got 4 more games of that.
Yes.
Look, listen, I'm married to the results. I don't care. I don't eat birthday cake with nobody. I'm married to the results, bro. Nobody's inviting me to no cookout. I'm going to just keep it real with you, man.
Yeah.
I'm watching that game, and I didn't see it. Like I said, from top to bottom, I didn't see it. And they got it. That little room of what they got going on, they better figure it out. Dorsey and Stefanski, or whatever the case may be. There's a certain thing for you to get comfortable, but sometimes you got to have a come to Jesus moment. Like when you sit down and be like, hey, listen, we've been trying a lot of stuff, but we cannot win games if you're doing X, Y, and Z, right? Like you're going to have to think about what it is. And it's not about, to me, it's not about, oh, well, who's the most, because here, the organization is here. Flacco's not coming through that door. Baker Mayfield is not coming back through that door. And yeah, we can chant and we can do whatever we want, but the Cleveland Browns better start figuring out what they're going to do and what they need to do with this offense and this quarterback, because guess what? It's going to be I'm telling you, it's going to be some reevaluations if after these 4 games if it don't look good, if it don't look better, dramatically better.
Dramatically better is the key, no doubt about it.